So idea number 4 on how to decrease your passive investment income and also help with the small business limit clawback. So here's a case study where this scenario will help a corporation save up to $560,000 in the next 8 years. And I just used 8 as an example. We could use any year and we'll spit out a different outcome. So this is a case study where we have a 55-year-old and a 50-year-old. They have $3 million saved within their corporation in an investment account. So from prior videos, we know if you have this much invested within your corporation, you should be generating at least $150,000 of investment passive income, which means you have completely lost all your small business limit, and you now are paying at the general rate, not at the small business rate, which you should be entitled to as a corporation. So this case study shows, we're going to go through 2 scenarios on how we can completely eliminate the clawback and keep the small business limit, as well save $560,000 in tax and still have more assets. So, okay, so scenario 1, I'll see if I can write this out good for everybody. So we've got the $3 million invested, and that means that you have to pay $70,000 more per year in tax because of a prior video. We calculated the small business rate versus the general rate. And if you have full clawback, you'll pay $70,000 more in tax per year. And so over an 8-year period, if I times that by 8, that equals $560,000. So for our clients, we use different ages based on, or different years based on what goals are and what the situation is. So what I also done on a separate sheet, and maybe we'll do a video where you can actually see these numbers, is I've grown the investments in the corporation. So if we do scenario A, which is nothing basically, just keep going how you're going, and you would grow the assets and I grew it at 6% rate of return. I paid all the tax that's payable within a corporation. Your assets would be worth $3,765,034. And after the tax you have to pay over those 8 years, what you're left with assets is $3,205,034. Okay, so if we look to scenario 2, which is utilizing a tax sheltered life insurance policy. So what I did in scenario 2 is I took, so this corporation, if you remember, they have $3 million invested, okay, which has caused the clawback. So if I take $2 million of that and I throw it into an insurance policy, this is what it looks like. So we can't do it all in year 1. So what we have to do is we have to take the $2 million and we're going to deposit it into the policy over a 5-year period. So depending on your age and whatnot, this could be done over a different period of time. So I've taken the $2 million and I've deposited that into an insurance policy. After 8 years, the value of the cash in the policy is projected to be 2.299 and 104. So 2.2, almost 2.3 million. So less than you have over here, right? But what we also have to add in is the, we're only investing 2 million into the policy, so we still have another $1 million invested into the market. And the reason why we leave the $1 million in the market is that the $1 million, if it earns growth, we should be able to leave that because you don't have to, that would generate about $50,000 of income, which doesn't affect your small business clawback. So that's why we take 2 million, we'll leave the $1 million invested in the market how you originally had it. So that $1 million, if I grow it, pay tax and whatnot, it is worth $1,255,011. And that would add up to $3,554,000. And so you can see here the difference in the assets, which is a difference of $349,081. So what I also haven't taken into account in this scenario is that we've saved $560,000 of tax. So in this scenario, we don't have to pay all this tax that this person has to pay over here. So what I also haven't included in this number and this benefit is that this tax savings could be reinvested in your business. Maybe it's just invested in a different opportunity or whatever you want to do. Take it out as income, whatever the case is. But you also have this $560,000 that can be reinvested to generate additional growth or business revenue. The other thing that we haven't talked about yet in scenario B is that there is a death benefit. So as much as you're probably not looking at the scenario initially for a death benefit, you also have, as you go, 8 to 10 million, if something were to happen, of death benefit. So what some people do is they'll just run the scenario for a while, and they might actually just decide that they don't want the scenario anymore, but it's helped them over the period of time that they've been into the strategy. If they decide to keep it going, you're also going to have this 8 to 10 million within the policy that is going to pay out upon the death of the shareholder. And this will essentially come out of the corporation through the capital dividend account, almost all 100% tax free. So benefits, obviously, to this scenario is more assets, way less tax, and the downfall, the big downfall, is that you have to have a healthy shareholder in order to buy a policy. It isn't a strategy that's instantaneous, that we can just turn the switch on right away. It does take a few years in order to do it, but this becomes one of those additional ways that we can help the clawback, help the passive income, and utilize it on top of the other strategies that we're doing. So I'm going to invite Todd at some point just to compare the investment between, markets versus what the investments do within these, just so I can have his opinion on the asset class. We'll also probably get into a case study where you can actually see all the detailed numbers and see exactly how we utilize the strategy.